All right, family, and we are live. Welcome to Sunday Sitting with Sisters. I'm Mama Ro. This is Queen
Juanita. Thank you.
So, and Dana will be back in like 2 weeks. She's taking care of a bunch of family stuff. We love you, Dana, and we can't wait for you to be back with us in October.
Yes.
But man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. First of all, how was your week?
Whew. Long.
You said whoo.
Yeah, no, I had a very long week. Last week I wasn't feeling well, although you may not have known that because I don't slow down.
No, you don't.
We don't ever slow down. So I wasn't feeling well since like last Thursday, and then went through the weekend. And you get better, but your body is still tired.
Right on.
And I still just kept pushing through. So this past week seemed very long for me because I was tired. Facts.
I hear that. So, real quick, I came across this saying or art. First of all, I love art, but this particular piece of art basically says that the mental chains are, let me see, I can't really see y'all because this needs to be bigger. But there we go. The mental chains are much harder to break. Do you think that's true?
Absolutely. Your mind is very powerful. People talk about speaking things into existence.
I don't.
And how you think about yourself, how you talk about yourself, what you believe you're capable of, all of those things. They definitely have an impact on who you are, how you move. If you're constantly telling yourself that you can't do anything, then you're going to at some point start believing it. If someone else is telling you that you are not doing anything, then you might start believing that. So I think that just like how we talk about marketing strategies. There are companies who make millions of dollars because of what they can produce, what jingle they can come up with, you know what I mean? Like what they can get to stick into your brain. How representation matters, who they have on those covers, what they say is beautiful. You start thinking like, oh, I look like them, so I'm beautiful too. Or, oh, I don't look like them. So what does that mean? If I don't look like them, I should look like them. Like, however your mind is extremely, extremely powerful.
Okay, so family, so I put that up there for a reason. Anybody know me know I put that up there for a reason.
Put what?
That saying up, the mental chains are much harder to break, which I agree with you. I always say you can get a whooping and the scar be gone, but, the mental effect on that whooping will last with you for a minute. Like it's something that doesn't go away. The psyche, even though the scar will heal.
Yeah.
So in saying that, I'm just gonna start the morning off real. Sister Fantasia talked about women needing to submit. Now, what's your thoughts on that? First of all, because I know you like Fantasia. I'm not really a Fantasia fan like that. I think she's a great singer. I think she's great. For me, she yells too much, but. Pay the Bell.
I love you, Fantasia.
I know. My mama loved Pay the Bell, and I still think that Pay the Bell, I like her, but she yells a lot. So, she don't get the tune like, but it's all good. People love Patty, and so Fantasia's a great singer. Now, I'm putting her in the category up there with Patty, so I must have some
right, she's an American Idol.
Yeah.
Okay.
But with that being
said, call in all the time.
What is this thing about women in submission? Maybe some women do need to submit, and what y'all think about that? But, because that word just feels so oppressive to me. But some women like to submit. There's some people who are slaves and shit, like do bondage and, and some people like that shit. But what's your thoughts? Because you're young people. So what you think?
I think, again, our mind is powerful. Words are powerful. So using the word, okay, so Stavisha said, hey girl, hey. She said that she agrees with Fantasia. I agree to an extent.
Okay. Right
to an extent. I think that that's fair. I think that everyone, like you said, my generation, younger, like all that I see is you either left or you're right. It's, and it's just like, yeah, y'all, it's not nothing in between. Like, and I'm not really a person who lives in a gray space. I do believe things are right or wrong or, you know what I mean? Wow. But I feel like some things, everything can't be absolute.
Right on.
And when we talk about women being submissive to their man, I do agree with her to an extent. I think that it is important because, but let's also, let me just preface it by saying this. Okay. You have to have a man. you have to have a man, not a boy child, not an adult male.
Right on.
Not a boyish person.
Right.
You have to have a man who understands how to lead, and you have to be willing to allow him to do so. I think that that's the intention of what she's trying to say, is that you just have to be willing and be okay with allowing him to take the lead and trusting him to do so. You know what I mean? But
why are we the only group who get that message?
we know that.
No, let me tell you why I say that. So we know white men rule the world. And we can agree with that. And I don't care what people think. I know in our pro-black or pan-African mind, we think that, but let's be honest. Why do we always have to get that? I think if a man is doing what he's supposed to do, you would just immediately follow. But if a motherfucker got to tell you to submit, that's a problem. Because I think it should be a natural progression, period. If I have a good man, I don't mind doing what's right because I'm a good woman. You know what I mean? A good man.
Amen.
So I think it just seems like now in our culture, we're always doing these things where it's like, well, if we just did this, well, shit. That's like I say, if you ran faster, you wouldn't have got caught. I mean, come on. I mean, and I like Fantasia, but I don't take my advice from celebrities. I really don't. Like, I like it when some of them have a conscience or whatever, but it ain't that deep. I feel like, I think you have to have a better way of saying, hey, maybe we should
you
love.
felt like she was saying that her husband requires her
Is
to be
this the
submissive?
Fantasia that cheated with the married man? Is this the Fantasia? No, for real. So I think you have to look at people's track record.
I knew you were going to do it. I knew you
hey, but I feel like sometimes you got to look at people's track records. And and you can be a fan of somebody. Like, there's certain people, like I like Paul Mooney. But if he raped Richard Pryor's son, that's a problem. But it don't take nothing away from his comedic genius. You understand what I'm saying? Because he wrote a lot of Sanford and Son. I love Sanford and Son. So I'm just saying, so I feel like you could be an artist, but it's kind of like, I don't know, sometimes it just feels like we always get these messages. I don't hear Taylor Swift going up there saying to white women, if you just submit to your men, like, she ain't got time for that shit. She gonna be with the man. If he a good man, they gonna roll together. Why is that always a conversation for us?
I think that white women are just more submissive in general in a different way.
It's working for them, I'll tell you that.
Well, I don't know because I don't want their husbands. So
well,
I don't
some
know.
of them got our husbands. So I'm just saying, y'all work
on fight today.
but I love it though. But I get it. I mean, some women need this. Me and my homegirl Jay Vine, we talk about this all the time because she's Muslim. So talking about marriage and all that. I think it's great. But I think it just has to be natural. I think for me, I fight on this thing of when people tell you have to do something, as opposed to you doing it gradually. If a woman is dominant, you should ask yourself, why is she dominant? Do she always want to be dominant? I think sometimes we just, I think, do men not step up enough? One minute is like, we have to give him permission. But shit, don't nobody give us permission to be dominant. We got to do it usually because we got to do it, not because we want to do it.
Amen.
You know what I mean?
No,
so,
I think, it's not that I disagree with you. I think that you have a very valid point, and I think that there are some variables in what we're saying. For some of y'all, it doesn't apply.
Time in here.
For some of y'all, it doesn't apply. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like I said, in terms of dealing with a man, unfortunately, everyone's not in the position to take that role on. And there are women who can be, and because again, I agree with you, just because you are a woman doesn't mean that you do not have, a go-getter attitude, a hustler attitude. Doesn't mean that you can't be dominant. Doesn't mean that as a man and as a real grown man that you can't have a tender side, that you can't be so boisterous, that you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that you have to have all of these gender roles. That's really what it comes down to. It's not a matter of gender roles. It's not a matter of playing what society thinks you should be or what you think that you should be. It's genuine, like you said, and it should be natural connection.
So you see the other comments? I think Vanessa was trying to comment on the first picture I talked about, the mental change. And did you see her comment on it? You mean
I missed it.
Okay, and then FloJo, let me just say hers, then you get to the other ones with yours. Vanessa is saying physical change can be broken and set free. Mental change remain in place for much longer. You have to change over a period of time to remove the poison on the mental change. And I agree with that, dear sister. Good morning, Sister Alexis.
Good morning. No, I couldn't agree more. And that's in every aspect. Like, even when we talk about, which I think some of us talk about it a little bit too much, but bullying, right? when they talk, because sometimes it's just kids being kids. Like, the world is not soft. Like, your kid has to have some experiences. You can't shield them from everything. But I also don't agree with a child being deliberate and being intentional and purposefully creating trauma. Like, and so that's what we're talking about in terms of having mental scars, mental chains When you grow up and you get bullied, you think it's my fault, because it's just our natural instinct to want to get along with people, to have peace with people. So when we don't have peace, we're trying to figure out, well, what am I doing? What can I do? You know, and then so that can start being, you know, very negative, create insecurities, create self-hate. So I think that, again, and then people grow up with those feelings, and you build from that. You don't build from confidence. You don't build from high self-esteem, because that's not the mental state that you were in.
What's Dr. Flo's comment? Because I don't know why I can't say it on mine, but it's all good.
It says you have to consider the source.
I just said that. Thank you, Dr. Flo, because I was feeling some kind of way, like, ooh, look, I'm just kidding now. I don't really know Fantasia.
She said
like
because Steve Harvey is telling women, okay, look, to think like a man. Okay, look.
No, read the whole thing. Read the whole thing. Read the whole thing. Right on, Dr.
Is telling women, think like a man, and he means that. That's too bad. But he's giving you a guidebook, she says, to find a man like him. Okay. Consider the source. And that ain't my jam. Neither it's not mine either, because you know Steve Harvey was broke for a real long time. Wasn't he married first time, and then left his wife, left his kids, tried to go make it. That's like the dude who be like, I'm gonna be a rapper. Look, I can't do this forever. We can't do this forever. You done had kids.
The brother just went to Africa and discovered himself. So now we gotta see it. So back to the sister point earlier, she said you live long enough, maybe, you know. Maybe you will, I don't know. Maybe what? Maybe you change up. I don't know.
You get desperate. You start settling. That's what you do. Again, and I don't feel like there's anything wrong with.
I think the word submission is just troubling in a time when we have
if we don't play
so much abuse going on in our community. I'm just saying, and women just feeling, and black women. I'm just gonna keep it solid because we do all. We ain't all got the same options. Let's just be honest. But there's black women get those messages more than other groups. You know, we get those messages more.
But that's valid though, because just as you said already, there are people who have been forced into taking on their homes, who have been forced to not dwell on their mental trauma and scars, and they're just trying to survive. Right. You have people in a state of survival, and when they get to, I posted this on my Facebook the other day. I said, you have to get to a point where you love yourself, to when someone else tells you they love you, you believe it. Right? If you are hardened, if you're constantly on the go, if you don't feel like ain't nobody there for you, if you know what I mean, like people come and they go, you got this baby daddy and that baby daddy, you know what I mean? It's like when you finally get a man who wants to be there, who will provide, who will be that rock for you that you really wanted, so you have to learn to allow him to be that.
First of all, who is Fantasia talking to? No, for real, because she said women should submit. And because I'm about to lead into something else. I think it comes from another source for her, like a lot of black women. But who is she talking to, and why do you think she feels the need to share that?
Because I think that she feels that it's relatable. I think that she understands. And again, if y'all know Fantasia, y'all know her story, y'all know her American Idol story, y'all know that movie that she had on Lifetime, okay? You know that she came, life is not a fairy tale. You coming with all the stats today. Okay, life is not a fairy tale. You saw where she came from. And I think that coming from humble beginnings makes her that much more relatable. And I think that she's saying, hey, this is something that I had to learn to do. I had to learn to really let this man lead, not only because it wasn't innate in me, but perhaps she didn't see that around her. You know what I'm saying? So she's saying that it works for her. Just like, you know, keto worked for some people. And keto don't work for everybody. This is just something that worked for her, that she decided to go ahead and share that. And hopefully y'all will benefit from it.
Y'all won't shoot me, but I personally think it comes from her religious upbringing. And that brings us into the next story. There's an article that talks about black people being the most religious group in the United States. Lord, we got more religious problems than most people. But it's like black people are the most religious people in America. And that we are so in love with that Bible. And so do you think some of this stuff for Fantasia comes out of that belief? Because we know that, and no disrespect to anybody, I know some awesome Christians who read their Bible, who are inspired by the word of, you know, it was inspired by God. It wasn't God's word. It was inspired. And I think people, we see words, but we don't really know the definition of what a word means. So we know that book was inspired, like people felt like God had talked to them or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's what it means to be inspired. But I also know as black folks, we know that Bible front to back. We're very religious, and we're not.
Rolling in a minute, huh?
We will, but we won't address our issues.
Yes.
And so I think for Fantasia, some of that stuff comes right out of her religious belief and her upbringing. You talk about her upbringing. We know that the church was the basis of her foundation.
Absolutely.
So even if you're experiencing abuse, you still hold on to that Bible. Even though you're still experiencing trauma. Because she grew up in that with her dad and her mom and the abuse and all that kind of stuff. Black people, we tend to run to church or get some religious kind of, and I think there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But I feel like sometimes I was always taught that the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the so-called holy books, could be used as a map to your liberation or a tool to your enslavement. And it just seems like for me,
wait, hold on.
Yeah, I got taught that when I was young.
Rewind.
That these
and
holy
say that
books,
one more time.
That the so-called holy books, and I knew it from the Torah, the Quran, or the Bible, but they said they could be used as a map to your liberation.
A map to your liberation.
Or a tool to your enslavement.
A tool to.
So
that's when I would be in church, and that's when I would write that down.
Yeah.
That's, you know.
And so in this case, I'm just saying. So when I hear words like submit and religious fervor, it makes me feel like that could be a tool to your enslavement.
That is very true, and I think that has always been the argument in relation to. I think that's always been the two views of religion since religion has been a thing. I think that people have used it to abuse people in terms of, culture, creating cults, doing stuff. People use religion as a way to control you. Absolutely.
I got you, my dear sister in Marin County, Sister Divine McKenzie said, this all sounds good for now. She's talking about Fantasia. However, Fanny is going to reap what she sows. So here we go with the religious thing. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Because it's not just the shit that sounds good in the book. It's all of the stuff. And we're going to go there. Let's not forget, she got pregnant and had a baby by a married man. Now, look here.
Listen.
What commandment is that?
Listen. Fornication, adultery, it's a lot. Thou shalt not sleep with my girl husband.
Absolutely agreed. Map to liberation, tool to enslavement. Right on. I heard that from Khalid Muhammad back in the day. That always stuck with me because these books are so helpful. It's like a self-help book. Honestly, that's how I see it. But it depends on your translation. And black people are famous for picking the shit that supports whatever we're doing in the moment.
Facts.
Now you know I ain't lying about that. I don't make this stuff about that. I don't make this up. It's like
because it's convenient, and then we can rely on that because when we think about the progression of power, when we think about societies and how we were developed, like way back when, right? When everybody had to get along, there were people who I'm a king. And I'm a king because my daddy was a king, and he was a king because his daddy was a king. And it's like, well, who gave you these authorities? God did. You gonna challenge God? So it's like. And in that progression of women lead the children, or children are led by the women, women are led by the men, and men is led by God.
That's right. I remember hearing that.
So when you have that lineage, if you will, people can just, well, God said so. God gave me this right. You know what I mean? So they can use those as a way to...
Like I also heard a comment once that men are the maintainers of women. That bothered me. Like, why you gotta maintain me? Maybe I'm a balanced person. I'm not saying that. I just think even when I do these conversations called the Great Continuum, looking at black marriage, I've married people who've been married for 50 years. Some have been married for like a month, like for a year, or whatever. But it always is empowering to hear about their balance. And I think when we're in a society that we're in now, there has to be balance, or we'll be out of control. And right now, I feel like we're out of control because I also think this man-woman relationship goes into a lot of different areas. How mothers are with their sons, or seriously, how does that equate to your marriage when you marry? If you're a woman and you're marrying a man, how does that equate with that? Do we give sons certain things we don't give our daughter? But do we explain why we're doing that if we choose to do that? I think sometimes we don't do a lot of explaining. Or do we...
We don't do a lot of questioning.
Oh, right on.
That's really... There's a lot...
I can't see all my comments.
There's a lot of people who just do stuff because that's what they do. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of people who... That's what I mean. Like, oh, I buy Crest Because my mama bought crest. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's a million other toothpastes. You don't know why your mama bought crest. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just brand loyalty just to be brand loyalty. Like, it's just, people just do things out of pattern, out of unconsciousness. And that's why we talk about being woke. Like, stop just moving blindly, you know? And you have to be more aware of what's around you, of why you do what you do. Like, I feel like that's so important. And so that's what I mean by we don't even question it. And then some people might have questioned it.
Right on.
And then they get barked at from whoever they asked the question to, because you got the answer. And I'm just asking a question. But now it's a problem that I even asked the damn question. I'm just asking a question. Why are you so worked up about it? But it's because when we make people uncomfortable when we make them think.
So let me just say this. This is not one of those that we're not happy that Fantasia has found her husband and got married and, you know, was on the right path. This is not one of those cases that, you know, please be happy for others. Your time will come. So it's not one of those moments. But I just feel like you, like Dr. Flo said earlier in her comment, you do have to remember the source. You know, you just have to remember the source. And I think it is irresponsible of people to put that kind of advice out, knowing that they've been the victim of abuse. How many women we know right now in abusive situations, basically in those kind of relationships because they was told that they needed to submit. You know, I'm just doing what my man tell me to do. Because I hear a lot of that in abuse situations and domestic violence. That's a lot of the undertone. Is, you know, I'm doing, maybe he'll outgrow it, maybe I can love him out of that bad behavior, or maybe I didn't do what I'm supposed to do as a woman, whatever the hell that is. I mean, some relationship, men cook and women do the dishes, or maybe the woman cook, the man do the dishes. I mean, there's always these balances, but I don't think we say that statement with a balance. And so her having her whole history, I think that she could have made it a better balance, like she could have explained that statement.
Well, that's why Flo said, she said that her husband explained it more. Because maybe people did take it as she is being forced to submit. You know,
and I just hear submit. Submit means like when somebody's suppressing you.
Like accept
like when a cop be like, submit to me, whooping your ass. Submit,
stop resisting.
Stop resisting. Come on. That's about making a person submit to whatever the hell you get ready to do to them. So I think we live in an era that happens a lot.
So you are hearing, okay, I think I'm understanding
now
so
that's all
what your issue really is with it. When you hear submit, you hear
oppression.
You just walking all over me. You can do anything and everything, and I'm just here to accept it, and I just gotta deal with it, and I ain't got no options, and I ain't got no choices, and okay.
Because I'm tied to this belief that
you just have to
accept. Right. And I think sometimes it's kind of like words have certain vibrations on them, or certain historical references that plays in people's minds. You know, like if I was to throw out the word the Holocaust, immediately you would think Jewish people. You wouldn't think about the African Holocaust. Not at all. You would immediately associate that word with Jewish people. I'm just giving an example. Same thing with the word submit. I mean, we live in a time that's it's super lit. You know, there's a lot of different things happening in our society that we have to be very careful with those words. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. And I think that,
and so like you're saying that Fantasia really, it was poor word choice, but her word choice was based on her religious beliefs.
That's what I think.
And it's kind of, because you know, some people, you will ask them, well, what does this mean? And they'll just find the word with the same word. Don't you hate that? don't you hate that? Like if you say, be an adult, and he's like, what's being an adult? Being adult. Like, don't be childish. Okay, you're not helping me. Like I need you to describe what that really means. So maybe she just didn't have the verbiage of what submit, because it could be very subjective. Like that's what Stavisha just said again. She said, hi Nanny. Hello. Stavisha said that it just really depends on how you see it. Mm-hmm. And I just want to put a little sidebar, because I have one friend who is watching now and she's deaf. Oh, hey Danny, so we are trying to figure out how we can add our closed captioning to this podcast. We're working on it. She's trying to figure it out. She's got to add this app and blah, blah, blah. I'm not the technology person.
But I'm working on it.
Me to help.
Next week
but she's working on it. So hopefully we will have closed caption that we can add with this every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
So thank you for the support. I just wanted to let you guys know that.
I love to see you sign. I just gotta say that. I love to see you. I love to see you by the sign.
I hope you can see me. Sorry, she said move your because the okay. I see what you see. Thank you. Stavisha was saying that the orange, so you couldn't see my hands.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Let me fix that.
But it's okay.
I'm fixing it, y'all. I'm fixing it. Do that again.
Okay, so she said that the orange bar was like blocking me, so you couldn't see. I was just saying that we were going to add closed captioning. We're trying to figure it out. Hopefully, we can have it next week on Sunday.
Yep.
So for all of my deaf community and family and friends and support groups, you guys can be able to tune in if you want. So hopefully, we'll have closed captioning for that. Can you see me? I'm not saying it again. All right.
I love that. Thank you. Okay, I fixed that.
Okay, perfect.
I love that. I just love to see you sign. Okay, so I sing this saying, please be happy for others, your time will come. What do you think that means?
Stop being jealous. Trust the timing of your life. You know, because people will be like, oh, this person was just doing this, and they was just doing this. I'm such a good person. Why I ain't got that? Why? You know what I mean? So it's just like, you have to be genuine. I think that when you are genuine and authentically happy in who you are and where you are, and if you are working on you, if you are correcting your missteps, if you are moving in your purpose, you genuinely see other people and you're joyful, like you're happy for them. Like, I don't think that there has to be something that you have to be like, okay, be happy. I'm gonna be happy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if there's a reason that you are feeling a certain way towards somebody, it says more about you than it does them. That's normally the case.
Wow. Right on. Right on. I just have to share that. On another note, I'm going to get your thoughts because you're a parent. They basically talked about Huggies. There's been a baby that left the hospital with burns from their Huggies diaper as a result of the Huggies diaper.
A burn?
A burn.
From a diaper?
Something that's in the diaper. And I just showed the picture on the screen. I'll make it big so everybody can see it. I seen that and it's thought like, so it's the burn around about the thighs. And so, I don't know, you think people are on the pamper or, you know, pamper, diaper, what's the difference?
That's same to me.
Okay. But I know nobody's going to go back to them cloth diapers.
Nope.
But it makes you think of what are they putting in those diapers, and do we think about what they putting in those diapers? Just curious.
No, because we don't think about what they put in our tampons. We don't think about what they put on our pads. We don't think about what they put in our food. We don't think about what they put in the air. We don't think about none of that. So
that's scary.
That is very scary. I just had my niece for the last 2 days as my sister was celebrating her anniversary, and I was just changing diapers. Huggies too.
That's scary.
We didn't have any of those issues, but I mean, I didn't know anything about that. That's really too bad. I couldn't imagine.
Y'all chime in. These are just some of the hot topics that just kind of got me a little bit. Also, there's a Dr. Robert DeLeo. Basically said he deliberately created AIDS to depopulate humanity. Like he was too many of us on him.
People worry about the stupidest stuff.
But hell,
how you gonna be worried about?
A lot of people out of here though. He said
absolutely.
He said he deliberately created AIDS to depopulate, to control the population. I don't know what you think about that. Do you think he just saying that so he can get some video hits, or do you think this is because people think it's a government conspiracy? I've heard a lot of different things about where AIDS come from. I didn't know how it went from being a gay white man disease to black women have the fastest rising population with it. So I don't know.
Because it's a black man who was on the down low.
Oh, comments on that, y'all.
It's a lot of black men on the down low because we are not open based on our religion. we don't accept gays in our religion. So it's a lot of males. And then in our country and how society moves, how society works, there is a cookie cutter example of what a male looks like, just how we were talking about in terms of gender roles, expectations. And then It's what a woman's supposed to be like. So as a man, you can't do certain things, and as a black man, you bet not do certain things.
But how did this person know? And I'm just throwing this out there, y'all. I hope y'all would chime in. How did he know that this is something that would affect African Americans? Like, how did he know we will be in this crisis right now with that? If it started off as a gay disease, or okay, you just
If you know, sometimes things just snowball.
Okay.
Sometimes, I don't think that he was probably able to predict that by creating this, and that's even if it's true.
Right on.
But I don't think that he would be able to predict the impact that it might have. Ooh, excuse me.
That's all right.
On Flo said he lying.
Okay, thank you, Flo. I was like, maybe I'm tripping. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that sometimes I don't know. I could be so honest and say I really don't know. Oh God.
Girl.
So I'm glad Dr. Flo's still on here. So my next thing is racism a mental health issue? And I was just gonna say no.
My cousin just posted this, and I said no. It was 1 billion comments he had. I didn't read not one. I went on there and said no, Jesus. And he's gonna ask me why. Listen.
He said listen.
Listen. I'm not gonna sit here and entertain this for too long. I'm just gonna tell y'all this right now. We're not gonna. It's not a mental illness. It's not a mental illness. What is it called? The DSM, right? That's where all the mental health, whatever it's called. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm. Well, what's the name of the book? She said no to.
Yeah, I love your training on Friday.
What's the name of the book? The DSM. I don't know. You ain't gonna find racism in there. Is what I'm telling you. You're not gonna find people saying that we are born as a clean slate. DSM-5, thank you, Volume 5, Edition 5, okay? In 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're not going to find nowhere in there that racism is a mental illness. It's not. You might have, all racists might have certain mental traits that they find. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that you being a racist is an actual mental illness. Does that make sense?
Okay, so let me just say this. Okay, that totally makes sense. So I was gonna give an example to back this stuff up, so people don't think I'm tripping. So there was a 6-year-old black girl who was arrested because she threw a tantrum.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, just like the boy who was 7 in school threw a Skittle and got arrested.
So do you mean to tell me those white officers that came to arrest this little 6-year-old for throwing a tantrum? I'm old school. I would have just walked off and left the kid. I mean, that's like being in we never did that in our community. My mom said you didn't get something. You can throw one if you want to. She just walk off and leave you. Then you get up and be like, oh no, where my mom at? However, like, you mean to tell me that cop has mental health issues?
No, he does not. Oh, something wrong with him. But we're not gonna just keep allowing y'all to just keep excusing things and labeling stuff so you don't have to deal with it. Because that's what it ends up being. Oh, it's a mental health situation. Like, and we all know how serious mental health is. Like, we do all know how serious mental health is, so let's not try to umbrella everything with that term. Like, you know what I mean?
They put handcuffs on this little sister and put her in the back of a cop car.
It would have been a big problem.
That's what grandmother was saying. Grandmother's outraged after 6-year-old is arrested.
Stamisha said it's like a generational tradition, just to be racist.
I agree with you. I'll give you another example. She said generational. So did y'all know that Manhattan used to be all black? Manhattan used to be a black village.
I've seen that article.
Yeah,
I've seen that article.
Was that mental health? Was that racism? We know that was racism. That moved them. Moved them out of there like that. Like, I hate to say it like that, y'all. People get all mad at you and be like, "Oh my God, well, But we have too many things you can point to, like gentrification, like the Tuskegee experiment, redlining. It's intentional. Sharecropping.
Racism is intentional. You can't say that it's a mental illness. You could say that you are so paranoid that you became racist. Sure. Yeah, fine. But we're not going to say that mental illness and racism are one in 10 or can be correlated. I know that everybody is born, again, clean slate. You know what I mean? We are all an empty canvas. And that's why I have said before, in regards to how we raise our children. I think, now, Iyanla Van Zant has always said this, and I could not agree with her more, that men are who their mothers raised them to be.
Whoa, wait a minute.
So So when she says that,
Woo!
and not to take away from women are not responsible for who their daughters are. Obviously, that's the case too. But I think that the emphasis on that is before we know that we are male, female, before we know
those concepts.
Yeah, those concepts, those social constructs.
I agree.
Before we are molded into society for what we should do or shouldn't do, who we should be, who we should not be, we are just an infant. We're just a baby. We are just taken care of by our caretaker. And it is that caretaker's responsibility to instill kindness. You can be kind, female or male. You know what I mean? Like, you can have empathy. You can have, like, all these things that I think that are part of our humanity.
Right on.
And so, you cannot be born, you're not born a racist. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I just
it's
can't. It annoys the hell out of me when people
But
act
racism
like,
has to be backed up by culture. That's what I've come to learn. I think it has to be backed up by culture.
Yeah.
So it brings me to this next thing. There is a lawyer that's seeking justice.
racism is a system. I'm sorry. Just added that.
Right on. It certainly is. It certainly is.
Yeah.
But basically, there's a.
maintained.
That's right on. Say that again. I'm sorry. I think
I'm sorry. I said Flo had made a comment saying racism is a system, and I just added to the comment by saying by its operation and how it's maintained. Like, it is a social construct. It's not anything biological. It's not anything in relation to our makeup. It is a social construct that ain't never gonna go away.
So this next story, y'all, is Julian Hishaw has devoted her professional career. She's an attorney to helping black farmers who are deliberately in danger of losing their farmland and their livelihoods. Why are we still dealing with this? It was good when we was on the farm, we was working as a slave for somebody else, but damn, black farmers losing their land?
They've been doing that.
And you mean to tell me that's mental health illness that we know that they deliberately go after the black farmers?
And my grandfather, my family, and unfortunately I wasn't able to attend the family reunion just a couple months ago, but I said that my grandfather, he just turned 84 this month, like 11 days ago, 12 days, whatever. He's 84 years old, okay? And they had a family reunion that I wasn't able to attend, but when he came back, we spoke about it and he talked about it. And even I talked with my cousin Amber, hey girl, hey. And she was telling me how the land that my great-grandfather, or was it my grandfather's? I think my grandpa told me it was his father's land. But anyways, more of the story is, he's a black man who has land, who, when they would have the land and was given the land, didn't nobody want the land at that time. Because you got to work, you got to put in the work to make that land profitable, to make it even suitable for farming, for growth, for harvest, for cropping, any of that. And what my grandpa expressed to me was that literally they would wait 2-3 years. Because now you've worked the land, now your first harvest was your second one a little better. Okay, you figured some things out. But the third one, you popping, you rolling now. You can put in the work, and you're reaping what you've sown. In a sense. And that's when the white man would come in and take the land, and say you didn't pay taxes, you didn't answer. Knowing that, folks, my grandpa told me his daddy had a 3rd grade education.
Wow.
So whatever y'all sending me, I may not know how to respond. I don't even know what it means. I don't know how to deal with it or nothing like that. And then the white man would come and take the land, and then would allow you to work on it. That's still slavery, it sounds like to me. But so maybe that's why she has dedicated her time to making sure that we are still being able to maintain our land. And I think Amber ended up telling me that, because she was on the family reunion, but I think she told me that now it's a prison. Y'all took the land from them way back when, and now they built a whole prison on there.
What do you think we can do, just us all in general as black folks, especially those who are descendant of people who were enslaved in this country? What do you think we can do to right the wrong on some of this stuff? I just feel like sometimes it always feel like we know all of this stuff that's happened, like them taking stuff from us. There has to be a way for us to be, I don't know, to get some of this stuff back. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I'm trying to get my thoughts together. But I see stuff like this, and it just really hurts my heart. Because I just feel like when you read about things like that, there's a lot of stuff that's owed us. That's why I can't fuck with Bernie Sanders, who say we don't deserve reparations. It's like, how we don't deserve reparations? When you won't defund Israel, like, and that didn't happen over here. No disrespect to any of those people, but I'm just saying, it's like, how can you not hear a story like that? How can I not hear a story about my grandmother eardrums being taken out of her head? I mean, how can I not feel some kind of way?
Well, that's what Stavisha chimed in about the farmer, saying there was a top story that black farmers were being sold placebo seeds so that their farms wouldn't grow.
And that's a mental health illness?
I think
somebody got to tell Jane, I know it's nice to have good white people, but you don't get to sell no shit like that so you can be famous around the Negroes who want to believe this shit so they can have an excuse why they being treated like shit.
And they're like, oh, it's a sickness.
Yeah, no, it's not no damn sickness. That's not okay.
That's too bad.
Like, why would you do that? Like, come on.
Hey,
like,
Maisha.
Shit, I don't know.
I think that it is very, it can be overwhelming. No. It can be overwhelming, just like how we talked about last week, to know that there's all these obstacles intentionally in place. And we are talking about black people, but how do I say this? It was extremely very intentional for black people, but it also caught anybody who fell under that umbrella. So you could still be white and poor, and you still gonna fall under that same umbrella. Just like the Facebook, that viral, it was a viral article that was talking about the biggest welfare fraud that was, I forget what state it was in, but it was like 40 white women. And so they want to post all their mug shots and everything, but it's like just trying to show that at the end of the day, if you fall in this category, we don't want your ass no way. So you could be white, you could be Mexican, you could be Italian, you could be German, it didn't matter. This was really for the Negroes, but if you happen to fall into that, oh well, America is not a country that values their citizens, that values their people. America only values capitalism. That has been the moral of the story from the jump out the gate. That's the only thing that America is good for, is money making. And whether we go back from slave ships to industrial workers, you know what I mean, to people working in the cubicle today. All y'all doing is just making money for the country, and all America has ever been good for was producing workers.
Right now.
That's the goal.
Well, America was founded on a slave society, so you have to have slave labor.
It has to be that all the time. It will never work, and that's the only thing that we value. Even in all of our expressions, like different countries, different cultures, they have certain expressions that they say, and you're like, oh wow, that's really sentimental, or that's really, endearing, or whatever. And America is like, time is money. Huh? If it don't make money, it don't make sense. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, what does that tell me that y'all really value in your culture, in who you are?
Well, do America have a culture?
Yes. Absolutely.
And what is that culture?
Culture?
Are we really a melting pot?
Yes.
I mean, what is that?
Our culture is capitalism.
No, I got you. I think about that a lot, like a culture. I hear people like, I seen Adam Ruins Everything. My nephew really loves that show, and I go over his house and watch his son, and we watch it together. And he broke down this thing about music, and about how all of the music that we know to be has African origins, but how in this system of racism, which people think is a mental illness, sorry Ms. Jane, it's not going to work, that they had a way of basically not letting black people come up, but they'll let a white person record that album, like Hound Dog, a black woman, that was her song. Mm-hmm. And then when Elvis did it, it became famous because he was Elvis Presley. So it's kind of like, damn, what are you doing in society? But that's always the goddamn norm.
But that's capitalism. It's not going to sell for this black woman. It's going to sell from this white boy.
But it's capitalism, but it's also racism. Because capitalism can't exist without that. Because in America, race is distinctive. You could be a poor Russian woman, come here, and your whiteness will give you some legs up above the black people who've been here and built the whole country. So it's just kind of like, if I had to go for either one, if one of them had to disappear, I would immediately bet on racism. because at least it would be like a fair playing field. That's all I'm
If
saying.
one had to disappear,
Yeah,
what
one ism, racism, capitalism. Racism will have to go because we can't get anywhere. Even when you have a black capitalist,
absolutely, but there was
you
times
can't.
where that's what it was. But again, the word again, capitalism dominates. You know, like again, way back when we did the Great Migration from the South, and everybody was coming to California to get settled in, and they going to the North or whatever. They're
Chicago, right?
Exactly. That's where you come to a certain part of the country, and I don't care what color you are as long as you got that green.
Which one would y'all think would you want if you had a choice between two isms to one just to totally disappear? Would it be racism or would it be capitalism? Which one would you like to have disappear? Just a thought, y'all. I would love to hear from y'all. And while we're thinking about that, there is an article where Zakai, no, there's an article where there's a woman. I just tapped that and I messed it up. Her name is Mrs. Georgia Tan stole and sold 5,000 babies on the black market. So this happened in Tennessee Children's Home from 1924 to 1950. What you think about that?
Hold on. She stole 5,000 kids?
Yeah, and sold them.
What?
Yeah.
What? How you steal children and got the nerve to sell them? Where's she stealing them from? I can't deal with it. The Children's Home Society. Oh my goodness. Okay, my personal thoughts. That is devastating. I literally cannot imagine having gone through pregnancy, the moans and groans, the weight gain, the everything. Everybody just hopes for, a healthy child, and everything. And then to have your child taken, that is not even real. I'm sorry, I'm trying to still see y'all comments here. We still talking about America and its culture and its values. So Flo says American culture values freedom in concept, but not practice. Let me say that again for y'all. Might be a little slower. American culture values freedom in concept, but not practice. And then she continues by saying American culture is overworking and exhaustion. American culture is indulgence and excess. I'm sorry. And American culture is dream and ambition. American culture is prioritizing happiness. And because it's greed. Happiness is greed. Or for some people, it's very greedy. And again, that greed is through capitalism. It's just how they're trying to go somewhere, what they're trying to do. I couldn't agree with you more, Flo. Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more.
What Flo said?
In regards to what American culture is, so she was giving the concepts of it, what makes the pillars of American culture.
Right on.
But you were talking about the woman stealing babies.
Yeah.
So why? Of course.
Well, there she is. Yes, of course. Big Mama was feeding.
I don't know how. Big Mama was feeding the babies on and wasn't stealing them. Amen. I don't know. That is just a different type of evil to me. To take somebody's child that they have created and dreamt about and carried and everything for months and months and months, and to take that child and then to sell it to somebody else, I just can't. That's crazy to me. That's crazy
a lot.
to me.
That's a lot.
And so what's the consequence of this?
But she dead now. We're old and dead. But I'm just saying, and again, this is more displacement of families. America. That's also a part of her history is to break people from their family. I mean, come on. What was the world like before there was a foster care? Like, my dad grew up in foster care, and there really was no foster care. Honestly, that's a whole other story. My dad was born like 1943. So in the 1950s, him and his siblings were in foster care. And that, they were like, it wasn't no system the way we got right now. I can tell you that.
Right.
It definitely wasn't that system. So I'm just saying that's another part of that fiber of America.
Unfortunately.
I hate to say it like that, and that's not something people talk about, because I find when people experience real trauma, they don't talk about that.
No.
My dad never really talked about that. As he got older, he talked little glimpses, but even then he didn't really.
Because if you were talking about it, then that means that you have to work through it. You have to acknowledge it. I was sitting in a class recently, And again, we talked about happiness, or how Flo mentioned, you know, America is about happiness. It's about me. It's about me. And it's a very elaborate, almost kind of a complicated concept when you're really thinking about happiness. Because again, like I said before, when you have to live in a society, if I was living by myself, of course I could do whatever I want to do, and I'll deal with whatever consequences come from what I choose to do. But if I have to live in a society with other people, in order for my happiness to exist, I have to create happiness amongst everyone. I have to give up that right to do whatever the hell I want to do in order to be happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if I say again, I'm not gonna kill you, you're not gonna kill me, that brings me a little relief. You know what I'm saying? That gives me some happiness, some peace to say, okay, I don't have to worry about being killed. Because I didn't have to worry about that when I was by myself, obviously. I didn't have to worry about nobody trying to kill me besides the animals or whatever.
Right.
But when you are created in a society, you have to have agreements. You have to be able to move, and okay, we agree that I'm not going to steal from you, you're not going to steal from me. I'm not going to kill you, you're not going to kill me. Fantasia, you going to leave my husband alone?
Steve Harvey, I can think like a woman.
So, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you have to have those ideas, and you have to agree to them, and you have to maintain them. That's the only way that works. So, in terms of us living together, and again, as she was, like I said, as Flo was talking about happiness goes as far as you allow it to go. And if you are in a situation where you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be happy and I'm going to just do whatever I'm going to do regardless of the consequence, regardless of whoever I have to deal with, then it's like, that's not happiness. We either have happiness or we have war. It's not really nothing in between that. Because if you're not going to do, like we talk about with parents, right? You living in my house, so you can either follow my rules and do what you say. I'm like, follow what I'm telling you to do, or it's warping this bitch. Like, that's it. There's not no, and that's just our human nature. We either gonna get along or we fighting.
But if you submitting, you ain't supposed to be doing none of that stuff. And you just go along with the punch. Nah, I'm being silly. I gotta mess with people. Okay, so that brings me to this 15 rare photos of the black Rosie the Riveter. What you think about Rosie the Riveter? I just never.
That's the lady.
Yeah, and the white lady. I never know white women work hard like that. Now, if that had been a sister from the jump, I would have believed it. But I'm not saying white women don't work. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, the people who work their ass off has always been black women. I mean, especially where I grew up at. Like we worked, came home, took care of our kids, took care of other people's kids. Was accountable to our neighbors, to our community. I mean, I'm just saying. Now, everybody didn't grow up like that, but that's how I grew up. What do you think about there's like 15 rare photos of Rosie the Riveter? I feel like I grew up with Rosie the Riveter in my house, so.
That was who? Yeah.
Rare.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I was gonna say, is it rare because didn't nobody take a picture of it? It's like, oh, it's so rare, police brutality. It's all, like, no, we just didn't have no cameras before. Like, this shit been happening. Like, I don't know what's so jaw dropping about a black woman working. Maybe that's what it is. It's like, it's so rare. Like, she a unicorn. Like,
that's what it is for me. Okay,
I missed it. I don't get that.
What do you think about feminism? This always strikes me as a feminist kind of thing, and what do you think about feminism? Because I see black women, a lot of us, we get it. I always said strange bedfellows appear for a reason, but that's just my personal.
Strange
bedfellows. You know what that? Strange bedfellows. When you see two people together, like when you see. I'm just
bedfellows.
Yeah. So it's kind of like when you see
somebody.
Friends
with benefits.
No. The bed. It just means that y'all in the same bed together. Like in terms of politics. Like say if you see somebody that's a Republican and a black Republican, that's like how the fuck did you get to be a black Republican? I'm just saying. Not saying there are not any black Republicans. It's like when you see yourself agreeing. When you see yourself agreeing with the skinhead, you be like, what the fuck just happened? You understand what I'm saying?
Strange bedfellows.
So that means strange, but you would never see them two together.
Yeah.
That's what that term
means.
means.
Let me go ahead and keep that.
Well, I be talking like
strange
that's how I know I'm getting old.
bedfellows.
I went to Flo's training on Friday, and she talked about when you say things, and he's like, "Oh my God, did I just get old?" Like, "Oh my God." That's one of those, because I grew up with a lot of people who did a lot of sayings growing up. And that's why I'm so quick on
saying. Or just using certain examples as we get older. I mean, even when I'm sitting in the classroom, teachers they have, their curriculum. and then they are expressing something, and they'll say, you know, this is just like the Matrix. But then but the kids now is like, the Matrix. And then it's like, oh damn, you getting old, teacher, because you got to come up with a new examples and to help correlate and match your audience. So no, I get what you're saying. Strange bedfellows. Okay.
Yeah. So when I see black women, even though I think there's a difference between being a feminist and being a womanist. Are you familiar with the term womanist?
What is the distinction?
I was taught that a womanist cares for everybody. Like she takes care of herself, of course, but it's everybody. It's not like it's just all female. It's you take care of your. I grew up around a lot of women who would be considered to be womanists. You know what I mean, to a degree.
Like a Mother Earth.
Yeah,
a Mama
like
Earth.
that. Yeah, I think that. But a feminist is more like, and help me out, Dr. Flo, y'all on there. But the people I've been around are feminists. Their tunnel vision is women and wanting to be equal. And I worked for feminists. I worked for women who were feminists who were just as oppressive as if I had worked for a man. I wasn't ready for that one. But I worked around black women who were feminists and who was all in that. But the way they treated black women was like shit.
I can understand that. I do think that there are some strong views. There are definitely strong views. And I can agree with that. I know that there have been some times where I've talked to women who would definitely consider themselves feminists and then would be upset, you know, if a girl said, or if another woman said that her goal was to be a wife, and to be a mother. And it's like, you can't do that. And like, you know what I mean? It's like,
setting us back 100 years.
Yeah, it's like, well, if we, like you said, more, maybe I'm more of a womanist by your definition, but Flo says white feminism is different than black feminism.
Break that down, Dr. Flo, because maybe that's what I did here. But I worked for a black woman that was a feminist and she was oppressive as hell. But go ahead.
But maybe your definition as a womanist, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Is black feminism. That's what.
You know, because so here's the thing, and I love when Dr. Flo educates. I have so much respect for Dr. Flo because I like the way she breaks shit down. I like the way her brain works. But I just feel like, so there's these definitions we have out of the book, and then we have working definitions. And so for me, I've always been around working definitions. So I've worked under a lot of women who came out of the Black Power movements and who became feminists. You know what I mean? Because in the Black Power movement, when you're a black woman, you get oppressed more. Because we have to uplift the man. Fantasia, that's what that submission thing. So they had to submit so black men would feel like they were empowered.
Correct.
You feel me? But
they didn't feel empowered.
Yeah, but my thing is, but if the rank and file is all women, we doing the work. Why the fuck ain't she lead? That would make, I don't know, that to me would feel like that feel like common sense.
But we live in a patriarchal country.
But I agree.
We might have matriarchs in our family, but it'll never break this patriarch, like this setup.
I agree. But what I'm saying to you is, so they went from the Black Power movement, you know, like Black Power brothers, sisters, whatever, but they couldn't be in no real leadership positions. Like the March on Washington, we know black women organized that. How many black women speakers they had on that stage? I think Dorothy Heights was up there. Anybody else? But we had to make the men feel empowered. So that's one. So then they became feminist. And so their thing was women. And I so get all that. Okay, whatever's going to empower you. But then are you fighting for the right to be just as oppressive as white men? Are we really fighting for the rights to do the crazy shit that comes with having the right? That's like we talk about the good old boys club. What happened when the good old boys club was all black men? What do we do with that? You know, we talk about, you know, the good old boy. That's another term.
Yeah.
We talk about white men. I know black men who do the good old boys club. With good old boys with all black men.
Absolutely.
So what do we do with that? That's kind of like an oxymoron. We know that exists, but it's like you can't even say that exists because you don't want to feel like you're tearing down a black man, even though he's standing on your damn head. Because that's a tear down the black man. I watched a lot of movies from the 70s.
She had the whole accent.
Gee.
Oh,
so I'm saying, so I think for me, and that's why I want Dr. Flo to break down what is a black feminist, because I work for some black women.
She said white feminism. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Okay,
she said many black women have used womanism to distinguish black feminism from white feminism. So it is what I was saying. So
thank you, Dr.
that's what I'm saying in terms of black women saying, hey, because we came from a different, again, being that double minority, correct?
Yes.
So when we came into the fight for feminists, right? Like, oh, we got women who fucking with us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they got us, and then we tried to join, and they was like, oh, not you.
So I'm gonna need you to clean that toilet.
Yeah, like, yeah, not you, black lady. This is for us.
Right.
It's for us white women, and not even us, all of us white women, but just like the more privileged, the more affluent, you know, like the ones who because we're educated
like
and we can see the problem, you know, so it's very separate. And I think that's why black women have this idea of womanism, because I'm for all women. I'm for all women who have been oppressed, not just me, but the white woman as well, the Mexican woman, the woman in Ghana, you know what I mean? Like, I'm for all women.
I want them to be for
have.
me too. I hate being for people who are not for me. Sometimes you can't pick and choose who's gonna be for you, but I really hate that. Like, I'm gonna do what's right because that's how I was raised. But then there's a part of me that's like, I'm tired of fighting for motherfuckers who don't show up and fight for me.
That's true.
I'm tired of keeping that door open for other people who see me coming and be like, oh, and then they start speaking other language. Like, motherfucker, I'm here in the room. Like, include me. I'm gonna go get you a translator. Shit. Well, can y'all make sure I can be included in that conversation? When I know in your country you definitely have me, because there's more of me in your country than there is of me here. That people may understand what I'm talking about.
And then when we talk about, I don't know why I'm honest here.
You sound, that's how I was last
I'm sorry. When we talk about intersectionality,
right on.
Again, we kind of touched on this last week when I was like, you know, when I was 18, it was 2008. It was the first time I could vote, and people was like, "You vote because I'm black, right? I gotta be a Democrat." And then people said, "Well, what you vote for? You vote for the woman?" And I'm like, "Oh, it could be a woman president." And they're like, "Are you voting for the black dude?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's gonna be a black dude president," you know. So it was a part of me that had to distinguish, what am I more of? Am I more a woman, or am I more black? Do I get more oppression and discrimination as a female, or more oppression and discrimination as a black person?
Didn't you have to stop? See, for me, I had to think about the two candidates. Immediately, Hillary was not getting my
I was
vote.
18.
No, I get you.
Coming from a public school system.
No, I get you. I'm gonna
tell
you why. You're right. Let me tell you why I couldn't go with Hillary. See, I'm 47, so I remember Hillary when she was reaping those white woman benefits from having her man be president, and how she lobbied for that imminent crime bill, and why most black women my age didn't get a chance to have husbands. So I have to be honest again, but that's my lens and my view. So I could never, and I remember how she treated Barack Obama too. So even if I didn't know Barack, even though Michelle sold me on Barack, I'm just gonna be honest. I see Michelle was like, "Oh shit, who the fuck this black woman?"
Yes, girl, I
was
too. I was like,
okay.
At first, I was like, I want the woman. Then I was like, nah, I'm more black than I am female, so I'm gonna have to go with the black.
Michelle was like, "You gonna get this?"
And then when I seen his wife, I said, "Bet," because it wasn't no high yellow, biracial, curly hair, light skin, green eyes.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Michelle had some arms. She got them Angela Bassett arms. You know what I'm saying? She had some weight on her.
Beautiful,
educated.
You
know, I was like, yes, I'm voting for him.
I felt like I was cheering for myself. I was like, yes. I ain't gonna. That's how I felt about Whitney Houston. Even when Whitney Houston was out there, you know, going through whatever. I prayed for her, like if she was really my relative, because it was something about Whitney Houston that felt like around the way she felt like my sister to me. I could relate to Whitney Houston. I felt the same when I seen Michelle. I was like, I could relate to Michelle. Sometimes she would have her daughter's hair being braids. Sometimes you know, like I could feel that we somehow was connected. Now that's how I felt. So for me, when it came down to them two, Hillary was never. And I'm not gonna front. Another reason why I would not vote for Hillary, because the so-called bougie middle class black folks were for her, and I knew I had to be against her. Because them Negroes, I've been fighting them Negroes my whole life.
Okay, can we just deter just for a second? I know you have a different topic.
No, go ahead.
That's
real.
Such a thing in our community. That is such a thing in our community. And I feel like we can't even blame no white folks for that. We really can't, because
Dr. Flo did come up. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I just thought about something.
We can't blame white folks for that, because, or maybe we can. Let me not.
Well,
everything falls to white man.
I just feel like I understand that they can be the origins of some stuff, but because I'm a descendant of human beings who have free will, and so to me survived one of the greatest atrocities ever on the planet, which was enslavement here of Africans in the U.S.
Absolutely.
I feel like I don't get the right to act like I can't govern myself. Like I can't. Like if I know that there's this whole system, I fight like hell to work against it, because I watched my surroundings do that growing up. I always say, like the crack era, I know we talk about the user and the seller, but I'm more impressed with the people who survived both of those, What was going on with you that you did not get caught up in either of the groups? And we never look at that. We either look at the victim or the victimizer, but what about the people who had to live amongst those two? I come from those people. My mother worked like 3 jobs. My mother died when she was 52, which is very young. But it's just something about what was in her that's now in me. That I didn't choose any of those ways. No disrespect to
No, but that's very true, because even no matter how we look at it, America, everybody could get sick, and we'll study what made everybody sick. We won't look at the folks who was healthy and how y'all stayed healthy. We'll look at the people who were sick and how they got sick and what made them sick. Like, you know what I mean? So our focus is off sometimes.
So that's all I just say, that's that free will when we say, can we just talk about each other? Like, can we just talk about that kind of thing that we know? We talk about black bushy people. I feel like I have been in the strange bedfellows with people because they had my back, where educated black folks, it was like it would fuck up their money, so they couldn't do that. So then I had to show up with the white
capitalism.
Boy.
That's our American culture.
Then I had to show up with the white boy because I agreed with him and I needed something to get done.
Yes.
Not Negroes who were worried about their property value. But that's a whole other thing.
And so again, when we talk about people who are like-minded, everybody who brown ain't down. Everybody who kid, what I mean?
Who brown ain't down.
Everybody who brown ain't down.
Yeah, that's real
talk, Uncle Tom's. You have those people who are not like-minded for the collective.
Wow.
We're not for the collective. I'm for me. And whatever that means for me, that's what I'm going to do as an individual, probably for some sort of capitalistic gain. And even if it's not a capital gain in terms of monetary value or something like that, it can still be social status. Because we also, again, going back to our culture and going back to what we have, it's all about who you know, right? So it doesn't always have to be that capital gain that you have. You can also have just a certain status quo. You can have a certain social capital that allows you to make moves. And I know a lot of bougie people who broke, but they groupies. They friends with, that's how Kim Kardashian got famous, right? You hang out, like your parents have a certain social, economic status, and you go to school with the cool kids, the kids who got the rapper kids and the actors kids. You're just going to school with them. You hanging out with Paris Hilton. That's how literally Kim Kardashian got famous. Like, you're hanging around those people. Not to say she was broke, but I'm saying, like, you didn't have that same status. You didn't have that claim to fame. You was just around.
Wow,
so I feel like it's not always that capital monetary value. It's also sometimes, hey Kashayla, it's also sometimes social capital as well. But in regards to what we were saying about black people, I think that unfortunately we don't always want hold on, Flo's saying something.
Go ahead, Flo. Go ahead.
We don't always want people to. We do have a certain status. Like, so if my mom, for example, my mom was, I would definitely consider bougie. And some people consider me bougie, and that's okay. That's fine.
You bougie.
Some people consider me bougie, but it's, again, that's social status, right? But my mom would say, I couldn't go check the mail. Mind you, we live in a home. Okay, the mailbox was at the end of the driveway.
Right.
I can't go check the mail in pajama pants and flip flops, and like in house shoes.
We grew up like that too.
You can't go to the mail. You can't go to the grocery store with your head wrapped. Why I can't? I'm not gonna wrap my hair for these people. I'm just buying some bread.
Yeah,
like,
they come from an era where that meant something. Though,
and that's what I mean. But some people think that's bougie.
Yeah, that's called carrying the race, because there was a time in this country.
Carrying the race.
Yeah, it's another term. There was a time in this country, like, when
I was just talking about you.
Yeah, there was a time in America when you did something, it reflected all black people. That's like saying, for instance, when Madoff, the Jewish man, when he robbed all them damn people, all the Jewish people didn't feel like that was all him. They was like, that dude's an asshole. But I remember times watching a black person do something that would be on the news, and my mom would be like, was he black? Oh, shit. And I'd be like, is that our relative? Nah, but everybody gonna think we're connected.
Because
You know what I mean? And so when you went outside and you were trying to throw off these shackles of perception and stereotypes, no, you didn't want to be in the store with your pajamas on, because that means that you don't know class, or you don't know etiquette, or people start treating you different. Don't mean they supposed to. I'm just saying, in the black world, you have to fight, like, stereotypes that we have of each other and that the overall society have of us. And that's
what I'm saying. We internalize, and that's no shade. Don't at me, y'all.
Dr.
But
Flo, I'm about to
yourself.
use your slide. I hope it's okay, because what you're talking about, she did this thing about definitions at her training. Y'all, part 2's coming up. Y'all need to all go. She talked about these definitions of race of racism. And I mean, some of the stuff I just don't sometimes always know the terminology. It's like going somewhere, learning about certain techniques, and be like, that's what that's called. I went somewhere one time and they had served this $100 plate dinner, and when we got it, the shit was grits, and I said, this is grits. But they called it something else that was very fancy, and the shit cost $100 a plate. And I was like, this is fucking grits. Like, are you kidding me? However, I feel like, and Dr. Flo gave this wonderful example, and I'm gonna blow it up, y'all. I'm gonna make it big, because I feel like sometimes this is what we don't get to really talk about. And basically, it's this slide right here. You may not be able to see it all the way up close. But
she said it's polenta.
It's polenta. That's what it was. And I was like, what the hell is this? $100 a plate? $100 with some red syrup going through it. I was like, man, this is the same to grits.
I be watching Chopped. And you're right. Polenta is great.
Oh, God. But anyway, so she talked about
personal.
racism. She talked about cultural racism. She talked about internalized racism. And she talked about institutionalized racism.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we don't even know the definition. What we're talking about is that internalized racism.
That's what I
when
am
accepted
talking about.
by members of stigmatized race on the negative images about their own ability. So I just feel like unworth. So I just feel like in our community, we don't necessarily get a chance to really talk about that, because there's some things that we can't, like, I'm not supposed to sit up here and say that black men do the good old boys club. I'm not supposed to say that, but we know that that's true. We're not going to talk about sometimes the anti-blackness I hear coming out of black people's mouths every time because I watch different videos, and then the basketball wives be on there, and I look at that and be like, damn, that's some real internalized racism. Because now one of them on there got her natural hair, like natural black. I'm a full black woman here. None of them look like the queen of the night. This sister from South Sudan. Mm-hmm. I think she's from Sudan. The one that somebody told her that she needed to bleach her skin. And she's like one of the highest paid models on the globe.
Beautiful. But like you said, it is internalized racism or self-hate.
Yeah.
That's again why people go and they want the mixed kids, and because they don't want to share certain experiences or something that troubled them, scars. And I think that it matters to what you believe your blackness means. If you think that it's a traumatic thing, if you think that it's a terrible experience, if you think that it's a bad thing to be black, which is constantly reiterated to us through media, through news, through societal standards, through statistics, through
from the Sudan. I'm sorry, she's from the Sudan. Go ahead.
Through so much, when you hear, if you have every black boy born, I think it's I might be wrong, after 2011, 1 in 4 will experience imprisonment, parole, probation, like 1 in 4. How many black kids is in a black school? How many black boys are in those black schools? So it's very daunting to have that sort of thing just hovering over you in terms of all these things that, me being black, I guess, is not a good thing. People start seeing it that way and feeling that way. So then, like you said, when I have to carry my race, if you making me look bad, you making me, you know what I'm saying?
I often wonder, how do people who look like this sister watch anything in the black world in terms of our programming and feel about themselves, when it's obvious we don't love nobody who looks like that. We don't love, and especially you my black boys. Black girls have it so much harder. They're the most unprotected. We'll protect the black boy before we will protect the black girl. We know that to be true. We watch black mamas go all the way in for their son, even when their son is wrong as shit.
Ugh,
now,
sick.
Come on. Now, sick. I know, y'all, that's not a popular thing, because we got to protect him. And again, this is this programming. This is this program. But what I'm saying is that when you look like this is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, shut your mouth. This is absolutely beautiful. And I think to myself, how she must feel. Let's just take the basketball wives. Can we just start there? No disrespect to Shani. I think she's getting it in. But look at how
capitalism.
Look at how Shani. Look at who her husband was. Okay, so because I know girls who say all their brothers is dark skinned and all their wives are light skinned, and they're dark skinned. They're a girl too, and they're dark skinned. So I'm just saying, like, well, damn, like we don't even understand what that means to the psyche. Is that internalized racism? What do we do with that? How do we deal with that?
They don't see beauty in themselves. They don't see themselves as desirable.
I just
they
want us to tag them niggas, and so when the police stop them, let's just let them stand on their own merit. Fuck it. I'm just tired of protecting people who don't protect me. This shit's tiring. I know you can't do that, but I think I know a lot of black girls who look like this, who are made to feel every time we say brown people, when we know motherfuckers is black like this, we know that there are black people like that. So why we keep trying to? I love when Dr. Flo showed that slide that says we're not a nation of immigrants. Because when you say that, you X out the people who built the place, the enslaved Africans and Native Americans. So we're not a nation of immigrants. That's a lie.
Facts.
So it's this thing of we don't ever look at the inclusion. This sister is so beautiful. Why would somebody pay her to bleach her skin? Thank God she didn't do it. Thank God she didn't do it. Good morning,
she's gorgeous.
Thank God she didn't do it.
I think that, Flo just said, until Beyonce wrote the song, wrote that brown skin song, there is, one more time. Flo said, until Beyonce wrote that brown skin song, there is not a single song celebrating dark black women. Plenty talking about a dark chocolate tall man.
That's what I'm saying.
But it's not any about black women.
Right.
And I think that that's very true. And I think that that is so hurtful. Colorism is so hurtful in our societies because, and just as she said, I love me some dark skinned men. Okay. Love you all day long. But maybe, and you know what? I mean, because we can look at it, I just thought about that, because we can look at it in one way in terms of how the darker skinned man goes after the lighter skinned female, okay? And wants to marry and have babies and whatever, right? With the idea of maybe
I do know some
like
dark skinned black men married dark skinned black women, because my sister was.
I don't know too many, but.
Okay.
And then with me having, or in that same flip side, why are there so many lighter skinned females who desire dark skinned men? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Who have this attraction to it, but then apparently we don't want no. We can have a son that's dark skinned, but we can't have no daughter that's dark skinned.
That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about right there.
I personally, because the only thing I ever wanted was a little girl, and I got my little baby, and she's just as dark, and I love her, and I love her skin tone, and I love everything.
I'm glad you her mama, so she can feel that love. Because I meet too many black girls who don't feel that love from the woman in their life that's supposed to do that, which is your mother.
Right.
But we have that stuff like that. The only thing she got on me is that she was light skinned. I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, I don't say that out loud to the kids, but in my mind, I'd be like, where did you get this fucking programmer from?
This idea that light skin is better skin, that being lighter is better than, like, I don't know. I can't.
It's internalized racism.
It's internalized racism, and it's very sad. They had those those documentaries of dark skinned girl and light skinned girl, and I remember seeing that.
I hated that damn dark skinned.
I know, I did. I mean, I hate any. Not any discussion revolving around colorism, but really having to dissect it and talk about it. It's really hurtful.
Again, he focused on. See, this is what gets me with Bill Duke. No disrespect, I like Bill Duke. He's a great actor, but how can a black man really do a documentary like that? Tell us about your dark ass and why you picked the women you picked. That would be more insightful for me. But I also know I'm always fascinated when I meet dark-skinned women who have such high, like they live on such a high standard, or they self-love is so, it exudes. Yeah. And so I be wanting to, I always try to bring those women into so that dark-skinned young girls can see you can be dark-skinned and love your damn self and be successful and be loved on. Because what I find is that even when you look at all the reality TV shows, you don't even get to see any inkling of that. I've never seen one dark-skinned person on there. And to me, she's really dark. I know some people who are as dark as this sister right here. Not brown-skinned dark or lighter dark. I'm just going to be funny because I hate to say it, this face is a color. Mm-hmm. But, like, when they got this new sister on there, she's from Nigeria. She's a football player. OG. And I'm looking at her like, y'all serious? Like, are you really fucking serious? Because I know they call her Toji. That's about her toes hanging over her shoe. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't look as soft as the other women, and they kind of let her know it. But that's a whole other story. I mean, they wouldn't bring her on there, but
I think again,
talk to me.
As twisted as it might be, and it's not something that I agree with. I'm just saying the train of thought. But I think that the same way people will say, I don't have no problem with gay people, but I don't want my child to be gay. because of the life that they have to live, because of the things that they'll have to go through, because of how society will treat them. Really, it's how you think about your child, what you'll be doing to your child, what you'll be saying about your child. But it's like that's what they kind of, yeah, that's what they tell themselves, and that's what they say out loud. But the reality is that I feel like that's a little bit the same way in terms of colorism within our own social construct. And feeling like, I don't have nothing wrong with, I think, I'm dark skin is beautiful, and then it's like, oh, but if my kid is dark skinned, you want to make comments, you hella dark, you black ass.
Yeah, we couldn't say none of that growing up. My mom didn't play that.
And it's like, I definitely don't play that. You would be grateful. Don't even try me and my child, because I'm not going to have her have some sort of mental blockage. Those mental traumas and scars that we were talking about before, and thinking that that's something she has to overcome. You don't have to overcome being black. You don't have to overcome being dark skinned. You don't have to overcome being a female. You just have to be your best self.
Do you think that falls into how many Jacqueline? Do you think that falls into the hair category? Like, there's nothing wrong with a hair weave, y'all, swear to God, or whatever. But I think we have taken this shit to the nth degree. When you watch a show, none of the black women got their own hair. And you see blonde weaves.
Black hair is a lot to deal with. I'm gonna just say that, especially having a little black girl who got a lot of hair. We got a hair appointment at 12, matter of fact. Yeah. But shout out to her stylist. You feel me? Pilar, she's out there in Roseville. Shout out to her. All black salon, by the way. If you guys want some details on how to make your life all black and black business supported so we can build black, tap in. But anyways, I think that there's nothing wrong with having options, right? Because there was a challenge that went on. It was all over social media with DMX. And remember that song? He was like, Keisha, Tamisha, Barbara, like whatever. I don't know his name. Becky, Stacy, Ashley, Solanda, like whatever. He was just screaming out a bunch of whole different names. He named Juanita in there just to put that out there. But anyway, he had that song, right? So there was a challenge on social media, and girls were showing a different weaves, a different looks every time he said a different name. And I loved it. I was here for it. And we should actually post one of them, because I was here for it. Because the girls are just, I got my blue weave, I got my bob, I got my longs, I got my dreads, I got my, you know what I mean? Like, they have different looks. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with versatility. I think there's a lot of folks, white, black, Asian, Mexican, whoever, who would be like, oh, I wish I could switch my hair up like that. And, you know what I mean? So I think that we
cannot talk about colorism and not talk about hair. Because hair, when you look at the black woman, everything on her is about that she gets marketed to differently than other people. Like, if you're a white girl, you get some hair extensions, it's going to match your hair. The hair you already have. We get extensions, it don't match nothing like I texture my hair. So I'm just saying, I think there's nothing wrong with diversity. Please believe me. But I also think you can't talk about self-hatred and internalized racism when you're not doing things that reflect who you are naturally. Other people are doing shit that reflects them naturally. I don't see nobody get no Afro weave. I've just never seen an Afro weave. No, I have. I seen one in New York.
I didn't see plenty of white girls walking around with some braids.
Yeah, but she can take those out and go get a job, okay? I'm talking about, that's what I'm saying, it's hard to focus on just black people, because if we're going to talk about this internalized racism, we got to look at the things in us that we do that we know is internalized racism. There's nothing wrong with changing up your hair or getting a weave.
Yeah, but if we are the start of the culture, we are the start of mankind. We are the epitome of beauty and women. So I'm showing y'all what it really looked like. Really, y'all came for me. I'm putting this wig on to show y'all what my great grandma looked like, and then I take it off. You know, it's just a little.
Great grandmother did not have no long blonde ass wig.
Okay, she did not.
If we can't hear slavery, I'm saying there's nothing wrong with diversity. Right. I swear to God, there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm talking about curly wigs. If I was a little dark skinned black girl with some pigtails, and I was watching black women on TV, I don't know how I would feel about myself. I would feel like, and I feel like that's not as a black woman that I am. I feel like I don't never see me on TV. See, this is like Tracy, Diana Ross's daughter. That's great. She don't represent me. No disrespect to her. She's some kind of black.
Oh, for blackish?
Yeah, nothing on blackish is black to me. Now they got mixtures where she's talking about her white dad and her black mom, whatever. That's giving us a makeup. Where's the dark skinned mama on?
You don't like blackish?
I don't like blackish. I think it's a way.
I think it's a way.
That's because I'm really black. I'm not blackish. I'm black.
And I'm black. Stop. Stop.
Now y'all gonna have to be upset with me, but I feel like that says something.
Y'all don't come at me. At her. I like Blackish. I like Fantasia.
And that's great. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. But you know, in the black diversity, I have never seen a heavy-set black woman on TV yet that I felt represent me. Last person I seen like that was Mabel King, and that was on What's Happening. I could relate to who she was. I'm not into see, representation don't mean shit if it don't represent me. If you don't feel, if you ain't really showing me. And I know I can't be the only person feeling like that.
No, I agree.
Now, if I was a mixed girl, I would feel really good about myself. I'm everywhere, particularly in black culture. Maybe white people don't want to show you, but black people definitely will show you. We can go all the way back, and if you go back to the 1920s, all the early black solid movie stars were all mixed people. So this is not no new shit. Bill Cosby didn't just make the fake Cosby Show and put like looking people on there. Like, no, that's been the history of black culture, is putting mixed people on there. What we don't put is dark-skinned black people. We don't put fat black people on shit. Maybe a fat man. We have Rick Ross and all of them. He was big. That's different. When you're a fat woman, that's very different.
And I was gonna make mention of
I
that.
hate to say it. I swear to God.
I would honestly, I would be. My family is all shades. My family is all shades.
We're not all shades in my family. We black. That's what I'm saying. See, that's that diversity thing again. I mean, we think diversity means having all the shades. That's not diversity. I was in a room last week with a whole bunch of college kids. They weren't millennials, so they was the generation down, generation Xers or whatever, Nexers or whatever. And they were all from Africa. Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria, some one was from Trinidad, and the other one was from Ethiopia. They were all black. To me, that was diversity. It was nothing about having a mixed person in the room, having a light person in the room. Diversity is diversity. It has nothing to do with saying we have to have every shade in there. Because to me, that is internalized racism, when we have to do these disclaimers. Like, why can't we see, the last time we had an all-black family on TV was Family Matters. That's probably the realest looking black family I've ever seen on TV. They had Carl, he was overweight, he worked for the police. Then he had his wife, Harriet. I forgot what Harriet did. I just love her.
Was she a teacher or something?
Yeah, teacher. I can remember. They had the grandmama, she was black. I mean, I'm just saying. And then at the end they put the little mixed kid in there because, you know, so like, oh, where are we at? Well, if I'm part of you, you should see. If y'all are part of you, that's what you tell me, then you should see yourself. Sure. But maybe you ain't. Or even Lincoln Heights. Lincoln Heights didn't get out of play. Black man who was a cop. There we go again. His wife was a nurse practitioner. They moved in the hood. They had Trey, their son Trey, and their 2 daughters. You know what I'm saying? Very diverse. We ain't never seen a black family like that again. Because we feel like all black people aren't mixed. Because that's not true. Some black people ain't mixed with shit. Because I do DNA. Some of us ain't mixed. The white man couldn't fuck everybody. I know he tried, but he didn't fuck all of us, y'all. I'm sorry. I know that sounds kind of fucked up, but he just didn't.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I hear you.
Because I feel like that's the political shit that people tell us, which is why black people feel like they don't need to have anything while everybody else is making their own. They building their own. And we look up, we open the door for everybody. But yeah, why you didn't take care of your goddamn self? Why you didn't take care of yourself? Why you helped everybody, usher in everybody, and none of them had an obligation to usher us in?
No, I hear you.
Somebody laughed at me. Y'all know I ain't lying. I just never seen me on TV. I'm not trying to be funny.
You right.
Somebody said,
you right.
Black mixed with black. That's me. I am. I'm mixed with black, real black, hella black. God damn it, that's black. I'm all that.
Black be black.
But I also know that we're the original people, so that's original. I'm not mad about that. Hell, even white people got a black ancestor, and they know it because they came out of blackness. And another gene too, because we're not Neanderthal. That's a whole other story.
I agree.
No, I got you.
I do agree. I just, damn.
No, I get you. I'm sorry.
But that's you
what
want that?
Yeah, that's what happened. You're not represented. You be like, I got to calm my ass off, because I just be like, because I know what it's like to be erased. I know what it's like to go places and not see myself and be like, well, damn. I know what that's like. I've been places where I did not see me. And then I had to sit up there like, it's okay. Really, it wasn't fucking okay because it made me feel some way, but it's like, oh, well, you ever been to the motherfucking club and everybody does it? And then I've never talked in the club when I was with my ex, and it was a black woman's birthday. We was in Ashkenaz, Oakland. Black woman, it was her birthday. Not one black man danced with this woman. I made Yakiel go over. I said, go over and dance for her. It's her birthday and buy her things. I don't give a fuck. Because how she look as a black woman, celebrating her birthday, all the black men, most of them was with white women. Not trying to be funny. This black woman sitting over there, it's her birthday. They announced her birthday. Y'all, come on, what the fuck? Somebody asked her to dance. You ain't got to marry her. But shit, come on. I know what that feeling is like. I know what that's like. And I also know what it's like to act like the shit don't faze you, but you know it fucks with you. Because you will go hard for them, but they won't go hard for you. That fucks with you. Like,
Absolutely.
damn, how am I gonna be down for these motherfuckers and they ain't down for me? What kind of bullshit is this? I'm just saying. And we don't want to talk about that. I know they don't cover that on Blackish. I know they don't cover Fetish. I know they don't cover ashiness. I just know they don't.
Please stop. We gonna write in. We gonna write in.
I don't give a fuck them. Somebody come over the show and call this shit black or African or whatever the fuck. But I just feel like we know in the black world we don't really do diversity. We do whatever we think is going to rival white people.
I think.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
I think that Blackish, the reason that I appreciate the show is because of its efforts. And I feel like, as we talked about before, having a certain culture in America, there is an American culture. The reason that I say I'm not a person of color, the reason that I say I'm not African American is because I'm black. I grew up in America as a black person, a descendant of slavery, DOS, like, you know what I mean? Like, that is a whole different experience than someone who, I'm not first generation nothing, I'm not fighting for no work visa or I don't, you know, y'all labeled me and gave me a social security number the moment I was born.
That's right.
I'm black.
Since we couldn't work ass,
and exactly, like, that's just my experience. So I think that Blackish is a good show because they have the discussions about things that we experience as, like, I like to say that we are residents of this country. We're not citizens because we don't get treated like citizens. Citizens have rights. You know, citizens can scream back at the police. Citizens have...
You can't scream back at the police?
I know you think I'm light-skinned and everything, but I don't scream back at the police either. You know what I'm saying? Like, but... That, you know what I'm trying to say? They got those conflicts that they have, and how do we discuss them? How do we talk about them? How you were just expressing how you feel like you're not represented, that you're not seen, but I might be seen on TV. I might see somebody who I feel like, oh, that's like me. I might be like, okay, Tracy, I see you, girl. Got a little booty. You know what I mean? Like, I might feel and that I can see myself in her.
Wow.
I think that, again, contributes to how we feel as black people. And if in an episode that they did have, a topic that they did discuss, they were talking about, it was his mama who was like, something about Rainbow, that's her name on the show. Tracy Ellis Ross's Rainbow on the show. And they got, light-skinned kids or whatever. And the mama was like, the grandmother was saying something in regards to them being light-skinned or her being dark-skinned or whatever. And she was like, people used to make fun of me. Like, it was they touched on colorism at the end of the day. That's what they touched on. And I think that that's important for us to talk about, because if you feel, hey, I'm blackity black. And I'm like, I'm blackity black too. You're like, girl, get up out of here. That's still a dismissive conversation to have on both ends, because for you to feel like you don't see this other person as black enough.
But I think that's an illusion, sis.
What's an illusion?
You're not black enough. That's not going to stop you from anything. You're still going to see you. See, what we do is that we do this flipping game. That was a flip you just did. So my thing is, colorism, the way I know it to be is that, when you're lighter, let's be honest, you have benefit in this society.
There's privilege in
life. There's benefit. There's benefit. Absolutely. And what I mean by benefit, you could go get that job at a black law firm and be the front desk clerk. This is not like how you feel. It's like what is in the world. I remember going somewhere once, and when I'm going to go to another story. I remember when my sister-in-law told me, we were having the same conversation, and she's light-skinned, she's green eyes, and so she was telling me, this is before she met my brother, we were talking this whole thing colors, and she went to like, yeah, but sometimes people feel blah, 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 blah. Then I said, when you go to work, you tell me who all works at your job. She worked for a black law firm in D.C. And she said, after that conversation, when she got back to D.C. and went to work, everybody in that law office was light-skinned and mixed. And she said, in that moment, she understood what the fuck I was talking about. It wasn't the conversation of, I don't feel black enough or black is. Nobody really give a fuck about that. It's how do you walk in the world. She said, I wonder if they hired me, let me intern if she was in law school, because I was light-skinned.
You're the type of, the black that will accept.
And then it was affirmed when my brother went to pick her up, that the woman's like, I think your brother. She said, oh, that's my fiance. And she was like, aren't you worried about what your kids gonna look like? Because she assumed, because of the way she looked, that she was damn what was going on in the office. It's kind of like white privilege. Well, white people like, I ain't got no privilege. And then they really be like, damn, I guess I really do got fucking privilege.
Yeah.
That's that same thing with being light-skinned that people don't want, and there's levels to the light-skinned, don't get it twisted. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't, this is not a conversation about how do you feel as what color you are. It's like, how do you walk in the world with it? Mm-hmm. How do you walk in the world with it when you're the darkest person in the room? I know what it's like to be around all black people and watch us do shit and act like we holding up the race, but you really shitting on the darkest person in the room because you have no room for her at the table. Mm-hmm. Because you want to make sure we want the white people to feel comfortable, so let's put the lightest person up there. That's what the talented tenth and all that shit was about. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to talk about that. And even though we know it's internalized, it don't make the shit right.
So I could not agree with you more. Somebody who I love is Angela Rye. And she always, political analyst.
Yeah.
I love her. She be coming for people. She laughs. She make jokes. She do the whole thing. But I don't think that there could be in Angela Rye the color of our model that we had earlier.
That's what I'm saying.
Because they would say she's too aggressive. She's too this. But Angela Rye, she's lighter skinned. She got some hair, and she's very articulate. And she shows up as a black woman. She shows up, and she's not no Kamala Harris. You know what I'm saying? She shows up, talking that talk, walking that walk, and check the resume, Google me. You know what I'm saying? She really is like, I'm really about that life. But I still feel like she has that platform.
Of course.
Because of the color of her skin.
Like Barack Obama got to be president. Barack Obama got to be president because of his skin tone. Don't play with me.
Has he been darker?
Yeah, we like, I don't know. And I ain't gonna front, I voted for him because he didn't come from traditional black people. That's why Michelle, and that. When I seen that Jesse and the rest of them house Negroes wasn't with his ass, I was good. I was like, I got to vote for him. Shit, he like me. I looked for the thing that made him feel like me, but I understood that his skin tone helped him get there.
Absolutely.
Let's just be honest, y'all. I can't make this shit up. I just can't. But I just felt like in order for us to really talk about what's going on with us, we got to have that conversation. And that ain't an easy one to have because you have to look at your own fucking isms. Mm-hmm. How do we talk about that black bitch? Hold on.
Let me tell y'all.
Lord.
My friend, Heather, hello Heather, she's a photographer. She's out in Yuba City. And when there was the uproar about the black Ariel mermaid, when everybody was mad about Ariel being black. Okay, like you ain't never seen a black person with no red hair, but whatever. Anyways, she had contacted me, and she was like, let's do a photo shoot. We still might do that, by the way, because the movie got to come out. We might have missed the hype, the initial uproar, but the movie going to come out, and we're going to have to do that photo shoot. Right on. But she was like, let's do a photo shoot. Let's honor black women. Let's put them in, it's just nothing but digital stuff anyways, Photoshop anyways. So she's like, let's do this. And she was like, but you're going to have to come up with all the black girls. Like, you my black friend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, okay, that's fine, whatever. And then as I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, we have to make sure that we are a good representation. We need, and like you said, the isms, right? We need shapes, we need shades, we need colors, we need age, we need the whole nine. And I was stuck. I had a moment like how you said with your cousin had. And I go through my phone and I'm like, okay, I know, everybody a model. Everybody have photo shoots. We live in the time and era of social media. So I'm like, everybody a model. I'm like, let me just go to my phone. Who am I ask? And then I started like thinking, and I'm like, why are my friends thin and beautiful? And then I had to call Heather. I said, Heather, I'm having a moment. I want to show this diversity, and I can't even find that in my contacts. What you mean?
I've had black people tell me that they had their children with people so their kids would look a certain way.
That's so sad to me.
And so I had to in my mind go into this no judgment.
But even if they admit that out loud, it's sad when they don't even acknowledge that.
That's true.
You get what I'm saying? I feel like it's more sad when you grow up as a dark skin, whether you a boy or a girl, and you grow up and people calling you blacky black. You hella black, or I'm blacker than you, you black ass this, you black ass that. And you start internalizing again, I guess it's not cool to be black. I wouldn't want my kids, because we always want better for our children. I wouldn't want my kids having that experience. So regardless if they actually say that shit out loud and say, oh, I want to have kids with a mixed person or with a lighter skinned person in hopes that my child doesn't look like me. That's a whole. If you say that out loud, that's real sad. But when you don't even acknowledge that that's what you're going after, that's even more detrimental.
And I think that's why we have so many dark-skinned people walking around here with that self-hatred, because they don't feel confident enough to be able to share that and work through where did that come from. It's kind of like experiencing trauma, and then you have to walk back through it to deal with it so it can stop having control over you. Because what happens if you have that? Because I know a lot of mixed women had babies with pitch black ass brothers, and their child come out brown skinned or dark skinned, and they got to deal with the color struck ass grandma. See, that's the shit I'm talking about. Then that child starts to inherit what the mama claims she was trying to avoid by even having a mixed person. But that gene never goes away. The shit always show back up. So it's like,
then they're like, don't have them outside too long where they playing out in the sun and they gonna get darker. And it's like,
right on.
What's wrong with getting darker in the sun? Oh, like, well, they can't
Stay out that sun, girl.
They can't afford to be no darker.
Stay out that sun. Okay, we're gonna run through these nationals real quick. So they talked about real quickly, y'all. That's a good topic right there. More women are mobilizing for political action. How do you feel about that?
Well, if you're like-minded, like me, then I'm for it.
So you mean you can't be a woman mobilizing, but you may vote for Donald Trump?
I can't be with no Tommy Lorenz. She got on my nerve. I'm so happy that
you
fired her.
Who the hell is Tommy Lorenz? No, I don't always remember names. I gotta remember.
It was the white girl, young.
Oh yeah. I remember now.
Yeah.
I remember now.
I can't deal with her. I'm not for it. I'm for womenist women. Okay. Apparently, that's what I'm for.
So I'm gonna throw this out there real quick and move on. What about Candace Owens? I seen her on the Revolt. I don't know if you've seen Revolt.
Candace Owens.
Yeah, Candace Owens. She's like a Donald Trump supporter, but the sister is brilliant. Let me just say that.
Oh, you talking about the black stupid girl?
But see, you can't call her that.
Oh,
let me say, y'all chime in, because for real, I cannot like you.
Candace Owens,
but
she's the black Tommy.
But she says shit that has the ring of truth on it, and even though she's the messenger, she talked about dads missing from homes and how that impacts our family. She talks about some shit that I agree with, but I don't agree in terms of the dismissive of our culture and what's happened to us in the slavery shit like that. I get it. That's like people like Killer Mike. That's why I love Killer Mike. Killer Mike was like her, T.I., shit, who else was on there? I think Jeff.
Who got a better master? I remember him.
Yeah. But what I love is that he said there's some stuff that she's saying I agree with. But see, when Farrakhan said it, we was like, yeah, that's correct. But she said the exact same thing, and we was like, oh, now, because she votes, like, because she's with Trump. I'm not voting for Trump. But my thing is, I can hear truth no matter who the fuck says it.
Absolutely. But the thing is that we might be able to agree on a topic, but if your approach might be stupid as hell to me. But
somebody may like that stupid as hell approach.
And so that's what I'm saying. We're not like-minded. We're not like-minded. If you talking about, well, we gonna still end up here, I don't know. Because you want this long, roundabout way. And I'm like, we can get right here to it. And you're like, no, but we gonna go here, we gonna go here, we gonna get there. But just ride with me.
Because you know at some point at the diversity table, I'll be honest with you, she has to be at that diversity table for black folks. See, diversity includes her. And that's why a lot of us leave the bougie Negroes and go over here and start being with strange bedfellows, because we don't have enough sense to do diversity. I could disagree with you, but I could, in the areas that we good on, we could work on that. But that other crazy shit, oh shit.
Look. She said her approach is a snapshot, but not rooted in historical content. That is dangerous.
I don't disagree with that. I mean,
so shut up.
But my thing is, she still is a voice that has to be the table. That's the diversity.
I don't need you to have a dangerous voice.
But your voice can be dangerous to people on the side.
No.
Yes.
No.
I know I shouldn't have brought up Candace Owens, but I think she's brilliant. Let me just say that. I think she's brilliant. I think she's very smart. Let me tell you why. I feel like this is just me. I'm gonna act like no. Let me say this. I feel like somewhere along the line we have failed her that she ended up on the other side. Because
she's a dark-skinned black girl.
No, she's not dark-skinned. I think she's like brown. But my thing is, I think sometimes when we disagree with each other, we dismiss each other. But if we disagree with a white person, we will find a way like hell to get them to understand what the fuck we're talking about. We don't do that with each other. And I'm not taking up for Candace, but what I recognize in her is how we are dismissive of people who are different and who are black and female. we'll be like, oh, I just don't like her. Instead of being like, wow, like, you know, right on, Javon, she said we don't have to all agree. And my thing is, she's brilliant as fuck. We all know she's smart. But for me, it's like, but no, a lot of us do. But my thing is, we have to ask ourselves, why the fuck is she on the other side? Was there not enough room at the black table for her? Because here's the thing.
No, it's not.
It is.
Because you're not like-minded.
But it doesn't not about being like, you cross where you can. There's some things she says I agree with. There's some stuff like, nah, bitch, you crazy. I said to my friends, there's some people I got, we like this, but I'll be like, bitch, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like, I was right with you right here. And then so I can do this part, but that other shit. So as I'm saying, that diversity table, we got to work on that as a people. We're not going to make it. That's all I'm saying. Then we have to talk about, that's going to be a good topic. We're going to talk about.
I told you, Candace made my stomach hurt. That's why when you brought up her name.
Why you make your stomach hurt?
That's why when you brought up her name.
That's
my brain has purposefully
She a black woman like you. You know what I'm saying?
She ain't black like me.
I'm black. No. You have all shades in your family.
Yes, so she ain't like me. I'm blackity black. I'm for the blackity black. I support the blackity black. She don't. I can't with Candace. No.
I'm like watching over here because you be like, Ms. Rob, so I'm not gonna be able to fuck with it.
No.
That's why I'm laughing. Okay.
Candace made my stomach hurt. I can't deal with it. I refuse to deal with it.
You killing the game with me right now. All right, look, let's go real quick. I'm going to hit these other ones real quick. So a football star buys 53 monograms and, hold on, let me just get this right. I'm trying to get to my story. I'm up here laughing so damn hard. I know my stories. A football star buys 53, this is mammograms. I hope I say that all right. Mammograms, take a for women to honor his mom who died of breast cancer. Now, y'all look, this brother, what's his name? I'm about to click on it. So I got to get myself a little laugh. D'Angelo Williams paid for 53 mammograms. Mammograms. I keep saying mama, like damn. I think it's who died of breast cancer. So here's a black man honoring his mother by buying these mammograms. Mammograms for black women, y'all. I'm up here dying in my damn self. So what you think about that? I'm just going through the stats so you can see what we got, so I have to worry about these next week.
Shout out to you. Shout out to that tax write-off.
And thank your mama that you thought enough about her, even in death, you still want to support the women in living.
True.
Because I think that's dope. I think that shows a mother's love is so beyond the grave that his mom is gone, but he's still trying to help other people in her memory. That's why I know being a mom means something. I'm not trying to be funny. It means a lot to be a mother. The impact
when you do it right
on your children, right? Even the bad impact lasts on your children.
I hate to say you learn from what not to do too. That's
so
true.
I just feel like, wow, I think that's beautiful. And then there's these group of preschoolers consoling another preschooler who survived the storm in the Bahamas. Now I don't know about y'all, but that shit touched me. That just touched me. I was like welcoming him back, but also like just come on, the babies, y'all. Shit, the babies is talking to us. Like that's beautiful. What you think about that? That's beautiful.
Excuse me.
That's all right.
No, that's super sweet. Kids. I mean, we again, as I say, children are our teachers, and that's why it's too bad that some of us don't give them that opportunity to teach us. Your children are your teachers, people.
I know.
And you can learn from their genuineness, their innate responses, how they have to other human beings. It don't matter what color they are. It don't matter how big they are. If they around somebody they questionable, then they questionable.
That's
right.
Right.
If they're dangerous, then they're dangerous. If they're safe, then nothing is absolute. Everything has some extensions to it. But what I'm saying is that our children are our biggest teachers, and when we see them showing this expression of humanity, take note.
See, I feel like I'm stretching now, but I felt like if you had did that for Candace Owens, she may be a different person today. If we had just gave her a hug and be like, I feel what you're saying, sis. I'm going to look at her story. I'm going to find out some shit about her. Because I just feel like you don't be on the other side like that unless maybe we didn't make a place for her. You ain't buying this shit, huh?
Opportunist? Capitalist?
I had to try, y'all.
No.
I had to try.
I just can't. She's her.
Somebody tell her we can.
I can't. I personally cannot.
Oh, shit.
Like I said, the thought of her makes my stomach hurt.
Oh, damn.
It does.
That just makes
It
me
does.
sad.
It does. I mean, it is what it is. Like somebody said, we ain't all gotta get along. I guess not. Because I'm not going to bat for her. I'm not going to be protesting in the streets for her. Like I can't get with her ideology. I just cannot. And again, anybody can look at information and
it's Javon laughing at me. Sorry, go ahead.
Anybody can look at information and interpret it differently and analyze it differently.
So Javon Muhammad says she sees black empowerment differently. I don't always agree with her positions, but as a conservative black woman, I know how challenging it could be to speak in the community. That's so true. I feel you on that, Javon. And you really be doing shit that really help black people on a larger scale than most neighborhoods can ever imagine. I've been with her some shit, like, she the real deal. Next person real quick, the AU, which is the African Union, I believe, basically is telling black people, African Americans rather she has here, I'm sorry y'all done messed up my whole little thing, to come home and build. Do you think it's possible for some of us to return to Africa and build up Africa?
No.
Why not?
We can't build here.
Oh, well shit, that was like to the point. Did y'all hear that? She said, no, because we don't build here. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone because in a way, I really kind of...
Who said everybody can't go back to Africa no way? Marcus Garvey?
No, he didn't say that. No, Marcus said, he said go home even though he never... Really
but everybody can't go with us.
Yeah.
Everybody, you wasn't useful here. You're not going to be useful there. Everybody, again, like-mindedness, collectiveness. If you're not for it, we're not for you.
Right on, right on. So, Viola Davis is going to be the new face of, what's that oh Lord, I can't. Viola Davis is the new face of L'Oreal. What you think about that? Here it is, dark-skinned woman. I would say that I like Viola Davis, but I like Viola Davis, but sometimes she's a great actress. Sometimes she just seems weak to me, but I love her.
Why?
I don't know, it's just something about her character that just doesn't seem as... I think she's a brilliant actress. She's brilliant. I loved her. She gets out of role. But again, because I love her, I support her. She's just a well-melded woman. But she just don't seem as strong to me. She plays strong-ass characters. But something about her just feels kind of... It's like she needed Lupita to help her take her wig off. Because she wasn't doing that before then, honestly. She kind of talked about this. Here comes Lupita, younger sister. Like, y'all inspire me. They be like, roast him, you're square. But... And I like Viola. I think she's
Viola Davis.
She's a damn good actress.
Viola, okay, this was another acting role when she was in, what was that movie? Antoine Fisher.
Oh, girl, she made me cry. I cried on that.
I cried that whole damn movie.
Yeah, she made me cry.
Viola Davis, so don't say she was always in the wig, because she was looking a mess.
But that's acting. I'm talking in terms of, when you go back and look at her earlier
of course,
stuff,
and she doesn't, how she, the
that's what I'm saying.
that she has and how
her.
she wants to be seen, you wouldn't see her out in the streets like that. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But God bless her. Shit.
I think that Viola Davis and her husband Julius, I'm assuming it's Davis as well, they were on Black Love, the first season of Black Love. I watched Black Love. She adopted somebody.
Let's go back and look. Go ahead. I ain't know right now. We talked about that earlier. Go ahead.
Viola Davis and her husband were on Black Love, and if anybody has not watched that own special docuseries, I really advise you to, because it really touches on... Is that black enough for you? Is Black Love black enough for you?
I haven't seen it yet, so I have to see it.
Y'all watch Black Love. It's
so good. I like that. I like stuff like that.
And they have different topics, and they have... Initially, I feel like they do have more like celebrities, people who, they got to get the funding. They got to get the money. So they have black families or black married couples. So they're promoting good, positive views, and they talk about struggles, how we got down the aisle, what, we had to bury our daughter. What does that look like? What does that look like when you lose a parent? What does that look like when, do you cheat, and how do you get over that? And somebody on drugs because they addicted to this lifestyle or whatever. Literally, they comes on every Saturday, not every Saturday. If y'all have on demand, y'all can watch it on demand and stuff like that. But she was on the show with her husband, and she talked about... and so, it's very personal because they're not acting. This is their lives. They're married. Yes. And
maybe
she
I need
was
to see that.
Yeah, and she was just spoke about her husband, and she spoke about how coming to California, trying to be an actress, being dark skinned, not being ideally beautiful, blah 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 blah, like just going through so much.
Trayvon said she loves to watch Black Love. Go ahead.
Yes, girl. We be watching together. But yeah, so I do like her, and I think I'm surprised that you said that she.
No, I like her. She doesn't seem as struggle. Maybe I need to watch this. It just. I love Viola Davis. Please don't get it twisted. I so celebrate her. I think we need her imagery.
How to Get Away with Murder. I remember that series.
Definitely.
I love that
But
show.
it's kind of like, I think I just hadn't seen, and I did read an article where she talked about why she took that wig off, but I can't help but to think that it must have something to do with having that strong image like Lupita. Having Lupita like come out, like Lupita has liberated just in her imagery alone and her naturalness and living in her black skin with a short afro hair. We ain't never seen a superstar as big as Lupita wear her natural hair and those many different natural styles. Not with no long imitating white people hair, black African hair. Like, come on, I think that probably inspired her. She said, I hope that she would pay Harriet Tubman. I agree. I think she's supposed to. I'm not sure. But I think she would be. I think somebody like that should play Harriet Tubman because she got acting skills. You know what I mean? An article came out said that New Orleans and Haiti are linked by culture, food, and history. Are you familiar? I definitely can see that because they both were colonized by the French, and I can see that. And they definitely have some of the same African ancestry as well. Did you know that from Haiti, from the Congo, and also the Congo and New Orleans, that people who came from the Congo. So I definitely agree with that. I thought it was a great article.
I've never been to New Orleans. I will be in January for my friend who's getting married.
I love
being dark and natural in Hollywood is hard. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I meant to say. Like, I'm not dissing. I'm just saying it seemed like Lupita. I remember watching Lupita.
You feel like she assimilates a little bit, Viola Davis?
I do, because
you feel like Lupita, like, take what you get.
I think Lupita came along at the right time. Now, I'm not saying that Viola didn't open up some roles for Lupita. Please don't get that twisted. Because, there's always people going before you.
Absolutely.
But I think Lupita came in because Lupita had this sense of who she was as a black woman, as an African woman, that she could wear her natural hair. Like, it just came at the right time.
She didn't have the same brainwashing.
Yeah. Well, she did. Africans had the same thing. It's called colonization. Check it out. I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And she also grew up in Mexico as well. So the African refugee stories is a little different, but they also didn't have the protection that we have. That would be a great conversation. I think sometimes we don't look at colonization as opposed to enslavement and how all of it is white supremacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. But I definitely do think, I think there's a lot to push through that. And she played in a film called Sugar. I remember seeing Sugar before I even seen her on American stuff. Before I seen her in 12 Years a Slave, to be honest with you. But I felt like Lupita came along. I remember watching her at the Essence Awards or whatever, and her giving this speech and her talking about Alec and how Alec, that model, the real pretty from the
I remember the same speech too. Yeah.
And I looked in that pen in that audience, and I seen black women from America up there looking like, well, damn, would it have been different for me if I came my natural self? Because they all in there looking like white women. And then you hear this black woman up front made it as herself. Not saying that she didn't have ups and downs. Made it don't mean it was perfect. It just means she made it. I wonder how they felt looking at somebody who defied all the stereotypes of what we think we needed to be in Hollywood. There she is. There she is up there.
Let's end on that.
There she is up there. So,
and you was authentically yourself.
And I know that ain't a good thing to be. So we're going to end on that. I'm going to put this quote up here. Please be happy for others. Your time will come. And with that, family, we're going to see y'all next week. Thanks for hanging with us. Peace, family.